What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk NBA. With yours, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I'm him, and I'm joined by my man Everett Sports Talk Terry. Second half of the first show, I guess. OKC. We talked the Cleveland Cavaliers on the first show, and now it's time to talk a little Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, the question for Oklahoma City is a little different, and I'm gonna just throw it right to you. Is it championship or bust for the Oklahoma City Thunder? Maybe not win it, but at least have to make it to the NBA Finals.
Um, I don't know about make it to the finals, but they definitely need to get to the Western Conference Finals.
They were there last
Uh,
year. No, they weren't. My bad. They weren't. The
no, they
second.
weren't. That's
Yeah,
why
that's
they need
right.
to get there. They need to slay some dragons in that conference. You know,
They
you
are
need
the
to show
Dragon.
not when they don't get to the Western Conference Finals. They not. You got
Yeah.
to send Minnesota home. You got to get Denver out of there. You got to get past the teams that have already gotten there. You got to get past Dallas. You got to beat the teams that have been to the Western Conference Finals and the teams that have went to the NBA Finals in order to become the Dragon. Having a great regular season record is the same thing I just said in the last segment about the Cavaliers. It looks great till the playoffs. Everybody's 0-0 in the playoffs. So until you can get there and stand at the top of the apex mountain and say, "Hey, I slayed everybody," regardless of whether you win it or not, you got to get there. Get to the Western Conference Finals, and then we have a conversation. Until then, they just look great in the regular season.
You remember Rocky? Remember Clubber
Of course.
Lang? And obviously, yeah, Rocky, Clubber Lang, and Paul Weathers' character of Apollo Creed. And when Clubber Lang was ascending to the top, right? He was beating on Rocky. He was like, "Yeah, Balboa. Yeah, Balboa." And he tells Apollo Creed, "I don't need no has been in my corner." So, and he's just running his mouth from top to bottom. What happened to Clubber Lang the second time they got him? Second time Rocky got his hands on him. He
I
demolished
mean,
him.
it's a movie though.
Yeah, he demolished him. Well,
I
the
mean,
theme
in
I'm
real
trying
life,
to
he
make
wouldn't have beat
is
him, but it's a movie. He did it because Mick died. He was motivated.
the thing, the
Who's
thing,
OKC's Mick?
the point I'm making is this. Apollo Creed is the Denver Nuggets. There has been. And it's over with for them. Right? Yeah, yeah, they are.
Even if you skip past them, they gotta
They
still
are.
beat
Hold on.
Minnesota. I like them to beat
Minnesota,
Minnesota.
Minnesota, Clubber Lang. Minnesota's that team that shot to the top. The Western Conference Finals is good enough for them. They're not a good basketball team right now. Dare I say, dare I say, they are struggling without Carl Anthony Towns. And I don't know if Julius Randle is an albatross in the locker room. I don't know if mentally he drains people. He is one of Kobe's disciples, and those guys tend to have issues. Not in a bad way, not in a negative, not in a bad way all the time. But like Kyrie's a Kobe guy, and he has some issues and just kind of just going with the flow, flow like water. He has some issues with that. So Minnesota's not a good basketball team, and somebody's head's gonna roll soon. I don't know if it'll be Chris Finch or they're gonna make a trade. But the only difference in that team is Carl Anthony Towns is no longer there. And when you're struggling that much, somebody's got to atone for that. Now, that leaves Oklahoma City. That leaves Rocky Balboa. Kind of a champion by default. Denver's old and
Only
sloppy.
because Luka Doncic is probably gonna miss 3 months and Denver's gonna fall like a rock.
But
Fair.
even if Luka's healthy, Luka and Kyrie have been tremendous. They've exceeded what many have thought about them. And Gafford, I have a high opinion of Gafford going all the way back to Chicago when I was surprised at how athletic and nimble he was at that size. And everybody likes PJ Washington. Like nobody's got anything bad to say about PJ Washington. Quality player, great corner ball competitor.
Brittany Renner did him
Outside of
grimy, and he's getting back on his life. We love to see it.
yeah. So we're happy for PJ Washington. But I don't think Dallas is good enough. Just don't think they're good enough. And Lively's active, but they're just not good enough. Oklahoma City is good enough. They just got to be, I don't even want to say they got to be tough enough. They just got to believe it. So
Be
this
great
is,
if Chet Holmgren can finish the season.
even without Chet, they brought in Harkenstein. Harkenstein's second in the league in rebounding.
That's
Even
okay,
without
but
Chet.
they need Chet Holmgren because he is their Evan Mobley. He's their guy that can do everything and defend. He can score from literally just about anywhere on the floor. He has good offensive skill. He can defend, shot block, and rebound. That's what you need. Hartenstein's a good rebounder. What else does he do? He's
That's all you
Walker
need, though.
Kessler.
Be
He's Walker
successful
Kessler.
in your role. Be successful in your role. And
Okay.
he's going to be Walker Kessler. Fair enough. I'm not going to argue that point. But you've got Shea Gill-Alexander on the outside. There is no confidence.
SGA's top tier point guard in the NBA, best in the association.
There's no confidence. And you're talking about a team that's won 13 of their last 14. They're on a 9-game winning streak, and it doesn't include the loss in the tournament. But they've won games coming out of the tournament. Remember when the Lakers left, they struggled. And I don't know if Milwaukee's struggling right now, coming out of the tournament after winning the championship. But OKC is rolling. They're rolling right now. Look, bottom line to me is you have a window. You have a championship window. In Chicago, let me get something.
They're one of the youngest teams in the league, though.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of somebody more current that young people could follow. And I'm not going to dumb down. I'm not going to water down my liquor. The Chicago Bulls, they ascended right quickly, and Mike ascended quickly. Like they took out
you're talking about Jordan's Bulls. I'm about to say
I'm talking about
Bulls now.
What's the Bulls over there? Bulls you there to talk about.
I thought maybe talking about Derrick Rose's Bulls. I ain't
hell out of
here.
Derrick Rose ain't got no Bulls. Derrick Rose playing for the Bulls. He ain't got no Bulls. There's Chicago's Bulls. There's Larry's Celtics. There's Moses' Sixers. And there's Shaq and Kobe's Lakers. Everybody else just put a uniform on. So let's call
it Magic's Lakers? Was it Kareem's Lakers? Okay.
I love Magic. No, I love Magic. He's my favorite basketball player. That is my guy. He is my number one pick. But the Mamba was a bad boy. And let us not forget the Mamba won back-to-back with Andrew Bynum, Al Gasol, and Lamar Odom. Let us not forget 3 trips to the NBA Finals. Stu took Ron Artest to the NBA. Like, I'm just going to leave that there.
Ron was a DPOY candidate every year, though.
Yeah, he was. And he also is 3 quarters past crazy. So, and I have no problem with saying that because Ron Artest will tell you he is 3 quarters past crazy. He is not a little bit past crazy. He is almost fully there. So I have no problem. But going back to my point, they ascended quickly. And you know what? I'm glad you did that. Kobe's Lakers ascended quickly when they wound up going to the NBA Finals, winning their first title, or actually losing to the Boston Celtics. Dirk Nowitzki's Mavericks ascended quickly, and then they lost in the NBA Finals to the Miami Heat. What I'm trying to make is this is your window. If you don't ascend and lose in the finals, you're not going to get back there. Because what happens is when you get that close and lose, you turn into the San Francisco 49ers. You turn into the Memphis Grizzlies. You think you won when you think you arrived and you ain't even left the house yet.
When were the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA Finals?
No, they weren't in the NBA Finals. That's my point.
Okay, I was waiting for the year.
They were a team that was ascending, and then they wound up losing to the Lakers.
They never got there. They don't know what it is.
But they lost to the Lakers because they thought they played it with an arrogance like they had been there. And that's what
you mean like Josh said, we good in the West?
Yeah, exactly.
But they're not good in the West.
That's my point. You know what? That's why you're great at what you do. Seriously. No jokes, no BS. That's why. That's my point right there. When Ja Morant comes out and says we're good in the West, and they haven't even made it to the Western Conference Finals, OKC has to make it there so they can show we're good in the West.
That's what I said. I said they need to make the Western Conference Finals. I said that.
No, I'm saying they have to. No, I'm saying the NBA Finals. They have to make it to the NBA Finals to show that we've got this part of the journey down.
The only reason I won't say that is because they got one of the youngest rosters in basketball.
It doesn't matter.
Picks and tons of cap space. They have a time to gel. You still haven't seen what a consistent unit with Chet Holmgren in that offense for a full season looks like. You've seen him in bits and spurts, but he forever gets hurt. He forever comes back, then gets hurt again. If he's healthy with that unit, he's a great complementary piece, and that's what they're missing. So getting those guys all together is what's going to help them get to where they got to go.
All great points, but I got to tell you, E, doesn't matter. Like, none of that matters. At this moment, you are that team. You have that bop. You have that show. You have to make it happen. Chet there's always going to be something. There's always going to be, there's always going to be a reason to excuse a failure. But you got to fight through that. And Denver is over. There's no other way to say that. Denver is over. Minnesota never was. Memphis may, but as long as Jaren Jackson Jr. is on that roster, I don't see it happening. As long as Taylor, I want to say Jacobs, but it's not Jacobs. As long as Taylor, whatever, is the coach, don't disrespect him. As long as Taylor is the coach, I don't think they've got enough gravitas on the sidelines to get them to the next step. They should have went with Mark Jackson. There's no formidable team that is at that point. And when you talk about young, great, 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 great thing to put out there. But bottom line is this, dude: the mileage on the car, not the year. And the mile, they may be young, but a lot them dudes got a lot of miles. They got enough miles to get where they're going right now. It's NBA Finals are bust. If they don't get there this year, it's not going to happen. Now they may catch lightning. I'll give you another example. Oklahoma City. They got there in the lockout year. Give them credit for that, right? When they lost James Harden, never made it back. Never made it back. Why? Because they didn't get to that point. Now you can throw the lockout year in there. That was LeBron's first title, not poo-pooing that. But the team that made it that year, like when Duncan won his first title, we beat the Knicks, like, and they didn't make it back. It's the same thing with Oklahoma City. They had that great roster. They missed their window. And when you miss your window, unfortunately, it never comes back. Now, before we go, quickly, we're gonna miss windows. We decided that we were just going to do Oklahoma City, but then I just kind of threw a question out there, just to get if you'd heard anything about Zion Williamson trade, and you said Zion Williamson always been available. So when Zach responded with, "No, he hasn't." When they start putting it out publicly, it means they're not getting good offers on him. So that lets you know that he's been available to what your point is, but he hasn't been readily available. Like he hasn't been, yeah, you can have this dude. I think now New Orleans is saying you can have this dude. So we both agree on you can have this dude, but we disagree on the value of this dude. So I said San Antonio will be a great fit. You said San Antonio doesn't have the pieces. Floor is yours.
Because here's the thing: at the end of the day, I think New Orleans, while they don't mind moving him, don't want to give him away for pennies on the dollar because he's still a 20-7 guy when healthy. They know that the only issue he has is weight, which contributes greatly to his health. So if he gets in the right organization that specializes on his nutrition and gets him in shape, he could be a 65 to 70 game guy because he's still early 20s and has the ability to stay healthy long enough in an NBA season with less wear and tear on his legs by cutting 20 pounds. To that end, what is your value if you go to San Antonio? Obviously, Wemby's untouchable. Chris Paul's aging. He actually complements them perfectly. So what are you going to give him? Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell on a one? Okay, maybe that gets it done. I don't think it is because I think there's more value out there. I just don't know what that value is because Zion's been on the market for years. He was rumored to the Knicks 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Before the whole stripper thing came out and all that, 2 years ago, he was rumored to get out of there. So I don't know where he could end up because if you've been rumored to get traded for 2 whole years, at some point somebody's going to trade for you, but you're never going to get the value you should. That's the problem.
I think his value is just what you said. Whatever a team offers. I don't think there is a high value. There is no high value. Like you're not going to get Jonathan Kuminga unless Golden
No,
State is really desperate. But you're not. And what is Jonathan Kuminga? He don't even start for the Warriors. Like, but that's what we're talking about right now.
which is wild because he did at the start of the season and was stinking it up, and they moved him back to the bench because I think something mentally in him was with the second unit he could just snap like Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole was horrible as a starter in Washington. So they moved him to the bench. He's back to put up 25 per. It's weird. I don't know what it is about
It's
these
not weird.
guys.
I think each situation is different, and I can break down Kaminga. We could talk about another time because I had a pretty good gauge getting to sit sideline where I was working for the Warriors. I got a pretty good gauge about Kaminga. But going back to Zion Williamson, the point is your value for him is whatever is offered for him. Now the
That's fair.
question is, what does New Orleans want? Do they want a veteran starter? Right. And then we talked about it being in the previous segment. And this is why it's so important to understand value versus financial detriment or financial gain or financial restraints. You have to understand the value of what someone brings to your roster. In the case of Zion Williamson, New Orleans is a ship without a direction. Like you don't know where they're going. Brandon Ingram wants out. Right? You're not gonna trade Ingram. I don't know if anybody remembers, but New Orleans got DeJounte Murray. He was a pretty good player in San Antonio. Kind of fell by the wayside in Atlanta for a lack of coaching, lack of direction. Goes to New Orleans. He's supposed to give them something. He ain't gave him anything. They're one of the worst franchises in sports. Now, one of the worst things in franchises in sports. So, what do you want for Zion Williamson? Let's keep in mind for Damian Lillard, quickly, everybody, quickly, what did Portland get? They got a bunch of picks. When it was all said and done, they got a bunch of picks because they wound up flipping Drew Holiday and they got DeAndre Ayton. So Bottom line is, man, his value is going to be assessed by what teams are offering for him. Zion has played, he's started 2 games this year. He's played 6 total. He doesn't want to be there. It is one of the worst kept secrets. And when someone doesn't want to be there, they've already left. So
Gotta
if
let
you're a
him
general
go.
manager, you already know it. So you already know he wants out. So why am I going to give you something that's of high value? Why am I going to gut my roster? You know, Denver would be a great fit for him because I don't believe
Ooh.
with Zion it's a weight issue. I believe with Zion it's just like Joker. When Joker was struggling weight wise, Joker decided I'm going to get myself healthy, get myself right. Once he did that, you saw a little bit of his dark humor come out, but you can tell that usually with weight, it's a mental thing. Floor's yours.
Here's one. Here's one. Would you do Zion Williamson and a 1 and a piece, something nominal, maybe Trey
Herb
Murphy or
Jones. Give me
Jordan
Herb Jones. I want
Hawkins?
Herb Jones.
Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. Would you do Zion Williamson and a 1 and say Jordan Hawkins for Michael Porter Jr.?
I would consider that. But see, here's the thing. If you're
You're
Denver,
trading one injured guy for another injured guy. They both make
because
big money. The money lines up, and you're getting Williamson off to an organization away from the spotlight where he can just focus on ball with a great unit around him. Michael Porter gets to go and be the guy he thinks that he is in terms of being more of a ball dominant star in a team that's bereft of scoring.
well, let me just say this. You said you're changing one injured player for another injured player. No, you're trading a champion for an injured player. Because Michael Porter Jr. is
Fair,
a champion. And
fair.
what we think of his role, or whatever. He started the games, he played the defense, he set the screens, he got the rebounds, he took the shots. He's a champion. Now, I don't believe Denver would make that move only because it changes. It's like when Houston traded for Clyde Drexler. They got rid of Otis Thorpe. And Kenny Smith always says it changed the dynamic of our team. That's a tough trade to make mid-year. You're basically changing everything. You're changing the culture of your locker room. You've gone from smooth jazz to what they call it, mumble rap. It's to Little Uzi Vert.
Ooh. Dang, I thought
You
we were at
are,
least gonna say hip hop. You said, ooh, not mumble rap.
but
Ugh.
you are, but that's what you're doing. Michael Porter Jr. is like Albie, like he's your typical yellow dude.
He's
He's
105.3 WDAS, and you're going to
exactly
Power 99 FM.
he's your and Zion Williamson comes in and he is completely different.
Trap music.
And I mean, think about this: Aaron Gordon, Zion Williamson, Jamal Murray. It's a hell of an athletic move. People don't think Jamal Murray's an athlete because he's not a high flyer, but there's very few players that
He's
have the
got
twitch.
bounce.
Well, not just bounce, but the twitch movement. Like he's Kyrie-esque. He's Kyrie-esque. You can't keep him in front of you because he's anyway. It's all over the
He's
place.
shifty. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be and Aaron Gordon flying around, and then you got Zion flying around on top of that, and
Lob
Joker
City
12
2.0.
assists a game from Joker. Yeah, I don't think Denver would do that's you're basically saying we're going a different direction. This is it. We don't believe
Well,
we're
you're
good enough.
you're you're the one who said that they out here looking like Clubber Lane falling down off the mountain, so maybe
They
they
looking
need
like
them.
Larry Holmes, flabby and out of shape. I mean, they are.
Ooh,
It's time.
ooh,
It's time. It's time.
ooh. The
But
back
look,
end of Riddick Bowe's career. Got it.
me sitting in a director's chair stating the obvious is different than a general manager having to convince Mike Malone it's over. You want to have that conversation? 30 games into the season? It's over, Mike? Your team sucks. You suck as a coach. We got to make a
But I
move.
don't think it's over if they make that trade. I think that they
No,
just need time to gel.
but you're telling him because when you trade a star from a championship team, I want to say an intro to a championship team, they already lost Bruce Brown. You know what I mean? They've already lost Contavious Caldwell Pope. And those were guys the management didn't want to leave, but financially had to do it. Right?
Right.
You're giving up a guy that was your third. Like the goal, and the only reason why Porter's name's out there is because he's the only one that holds significant value. But the fact of the matter is, Mike Malone would have a cardiac arrest if they tried to trade Jamal Murray. Like he would go
Yeah, you can't
bonkers.
trade Jamal Murray and Joker. Those two are untouchable. Everybody else can go.
For you, as a general manager, Joker's the only guy I'm not moving because Jamal Murray's effect
Well,
and
let me put
impact
it this way:
helps
Jamal
Joker.
Murray can move for like SGA. He can move for like SGA. He ain't moving for much else. There's not a
Well,
lot of guys you're going to pick over
let me
Jamal
just
Murray
say this.
because playoff Jamal comes to play.
I don't disagree with any of that. How many All-Star games did Jamal Murray played in?
We
I'll
don't care
answer
about
that
All-Star
question.
games. That's a popularity
Well,
contest.
here's my point. That means that there's 5 players at his position that impact the game. And
And how many of those guys got chips?
you're right. But with
Okay.
that said, no, you're right. But with that to that point, Michael Porter Jr., while he may not be as valued as Jamal Murray, he's just as important as a part to that team. And you're changing that team, and by changing that foundational piece, not everybody's role changes, plays change. A play you may run 4 or 5 times a game now is going to be run 20, 25 times a game. Guys are going to have to move over. Like this,
A lot of back cuts.
that's a significant trait. Joker no longer gets to play on the box. Now you got to move him to the high post because Zion's got to run baseline. Aaron Gordon's got to flash through the middle. Now you got to add another shooter, and then you got to be healthy and not run up and down the floor healthy. You got to be run up and down the floor at Denver. So yeah, and
So, so Aaron Gordon is a better trade piece than Michael Porter Jr. Makes more sense based off what you're saying. You keep your
no.
championship guy.
Your
Aaron
trade,
Gordon's always
your
been on the block in
trade is
Denver.
100%. Your trade is 100% right. Like your trade is accurate. It's the best trade that they could offer. I'm thinking about it from a general manager point of view. I have
Of
to go
course.
in there and tell this coach, yeah, the guys that you got, the guys that you wanted to keep, they suck, and we're
Coaches do
losing.
that every day, B.
Oh no, GMs have to do that. But yeah, and then you had beef between the post and the point. And Michael Malone, as we saw his little ha ha ha, LeBron is Captain Petty. So he may not start Zion. Like it's that's what my head is thinking. Because he may not be happy with that move because you're taking a guy he developed, he put his blood, sweat, and tears in, and you're essentially saying, yeah, he ain't good enough, and you ain't good enough. And after you make that trade, there's only one more move to make. It's only one more match to light.
Bye, Mike.
Exactly. Exactly. And he knows that. He knows that. Because Stan Kroenke ain't known for firing general managers. He known for he ain't known for getting involved with teams. So that usually means your general manager has complete autonomy. So, but it's a great trade. It's a trade that makes sense. Denver and Miami is the only 2 teams that I believe can put him back on the trajectory of what his career can be
You
because he's
you
a fan.
send Zion to Miami. You can cancel Christmas.
Yeah, well, that trade makes more sense. That trade makes more sense. All right. So, that trade makes more sense. It's going to be interesting to watch. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. We appreciate your time and your ear. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. That's Everett Terry Jr. Make sure you follow him on Sports Talk Terry. Follow me, Fisher Jones. Until next time, be easy.